Performing arts behind the stage curtain, Jungkook wipes away Jimin's tears, a silent touch that makes hearts break and fall in love. You weren't supposed to see that, Jimin whispered, his voice fractured, as he crouched behind the thick velvet curtain, fingers trembling like the stage lights above that buzzed, flickering like dying stars. The theater was a cavern of echoing emptiness now, the roar of thousands gone, swallowed in the quiet hum of forgotten applause. Only the scent of sweat, hairspray, and raw nerves lingered. Jungkook had stepped off the encore like a machine, flawless, invincible, until he noticed Jimin was missing. Again. He hadn't expected to find him like this, crumpled, shaking, hidden like something shameful. Young, Jungkook said softly, not with pity, but recognition. He knelt beside him slowly, a silhouette framed by the cracked light leaking through the stage rigging. His hand reached out, hesitated, and then gently, reverently, wiped the tear tracing down Jimin's cheek with the back of his knuckle. Jimin didn't flinch. He didn't speak. He just closed his eyes. It was the silence that made it sacred. A silence filled with years of rehearsals in mirrors that reflected more than choreography. With every note sung in exhaustion, every bruised ankle, every camera flash that demanded perfection. And with the quiet sob that finally escaped him, a choked, involuntary sound that seemed to fracture the air. Jungkook didn't ask what was wrong. He already knew Jimin had been slipping, just a little at first. A missed step here, a falter in his harmony there. The fans didn't notice. The team chalked it up to fatigue. But Jungkook saw the weight. He always saw the weight Jimin carried so quietly, the kind no one ever clapped for. "Why do you stay?" Jungkook finally asked, voice as soft as the dust motes floating through the spotlight above. Jimin opened his eyes. Red-rimmed. Haunted. "Because if I stop, I don't know who I am without this." And there it was. The fear. The truth that clung to every movement Jimin made, as if he was constantly dancing on the edge of erasure. His world had become a stage, and the curtain had never truly fallen for him. Not once. Jungkook sat beside him, their shoulders touching now. The warmth of contact was grounding. "Then let me be your mirror," Jungkook said, quiet but firm. "For the moments you forget who you are." Jimin stared at him, stunned not by the words, but the steadiness in Jungkook's eyes. That boyish gleam had matured into something unwavering. A promise without drama. A vow without poetry. And somehow, it felt more profound than anything he'd ever been told. Jimin wanted to collapse into him. Into the safety. Into the space where it was okay to be soft, broken, and not beautiful. But he didn't. Not yet. Instead, he laughed, a breathless, cracked laugh. "You're too good, kook. It's dangerous." Jungkook gave a small, crooked smile. "You're not the only one who wears masks, Hyung." And then it shifted. The atmosphere. A beat between them pulsed like music unheard. Jungkook's hand had never left Jimin's cheek. His thumb traced an unconscious pattern now, gentle, almost reverent. Jimin leaned into it, just slightly, but enough. The curtain behind them swayed faintly, like it too was listening. And somewhere beyond it, the world waited. Fans. Managers. Lights. Expectations. But here, behind the curtain, was truth. Raw and trembling. 2 performers. 2 men. 2 hearts pressed close by silence. And for the first time in years, Jimin didn't feel like a ghost in his own story. "You think you're the only one falling apart?" Jungkook's voice cracked, louder than intended, bouncing off the dressing room walls like a slap. Jimin stood frozen, his makeup only half removed, smudged eyeliner shadowing eyes that suddenly didn't know whether to soften or harden. The mirror between them reflected twin versions of themselves, one unraveling, the other already undone. "You don't get to flip this on me," Jimin said sharply, voice tight with something too old to be rage and too deep to be fear. "You have no idea what it's like to wake up every day and feel like your worth depends on how perfectly you can fake being okay. Then tell me," Jungkook snapped. "Tell me instead of hiding behind fucking eyeliner and that goddamn smile you wear like armor." Jimin flinched. That smile, his signature, his curse. The room fell still outside, staff voices echoed faintly, the metallic roll of makeup cases, the whir of a blow dryer. But inside, the silence was thick, coiled like smoke from a fire no one wanted to name. "You think I haven't noticed?" Jungkook continued, stepping forward now, the the heat of frustration clinging to his skin. You've been disappearing, Hyung. Bit by bit. On stage. Off stage. In rehearsals, your eyes glaze over like you're watching yourself from the outside. Like you're already gone. Maybe I am, Jimin muttered. The confession landed like a brick in the chest. Jungkook's jaw tightened. Don't say that. Jimin finally turned to face him directly. The vulnerability from last night was gone, replaced with something sharper, something glittering with the edge of despair. Why not? It's not like anyone would notice. I'm replaceable. We all are. They love us until we burn out, and then they move on to someone shinier. Jungkook walked up to him so fast Jimin instinctively took a step back, bumping into the vanity behind him. You're not replaceable to me. The words weren't sweet. They weren't whispered. They were punched out of him like a secret held too long. Jimin's breath caught. His lips parted, but no words came out. You were the reason I kept going during the Japan tour, Jungkook continued, voice trembling with something too raw to name. When I couldn't sleep. When I felt like the walls were closing in. You don't know how many nights I sat outside your room and didn't knock. Just hearing your voice through the door when you talked to your mom, it reminded me what home sounds like. Jimin looked like he might break again. But this time, there was fire in his eyes, not water. You never said anything. Neither did you, Jungkook fired back. We've both been bleeding in silence. I'm done pretending that's love. The word landed hard. Love. Neither of them flinched. Neither of them backed away. Jimin blinked. Once. Twice. Is that what this is? He asked finally, voice a rasp. Because I've spent so long trying to figure out whether I was just a project to you. Someone you felt obligated to fix. I don't want to fix you, Jungkook said. I want to know you. Even the broken parts. The dressing room lights flickered. Or maybe it was just the way Jimin's vision blurred, overwhelmed by the weight of being seen. I don't know who I am without this stage, Jimin said again, softer now, more confession than complaint. But I'm also starting to hate who I am when I'm on it. Jungkook reached out, slower this time, and took Jimin's wrist. His touch was grounding, firm but not forceful. Then let's burn the script. Jimin's brows furrowed. What? Let's stop pretending we're okay when we're not. Let's be real on stage, off stage. With each other. With ourselves. You don't get it, Kook, Jimin whispered. This world doesn't reward honesty. It punishes it. Then let them punish me, Jungkook said. But I'm not watching you disappear again. Their eyes locked and just then, the door burst open. Taehyung. He stood there, eyes darting between the two, sensing the tension like static in the air. Sorry, he said, though his tone was anything but casual. They need you guys for the press shoot in 10. PD Nim's getting twitchy. Neither Jimin nor Jungkook moved. Taehyung lingered. His gaze sharpened. Everything okay? No answer. Right, he said, backing out slowly, but not before adding, just, don't forget the cameras aren't always off when you think they are. The door clicked shut. Jungkook let go of Jimin's wrist. We can't keep doing this, Jimin said, not looking at him. No, Jungkook agreed. But maybe we can start doing something else. And then he turned and left. Jimin stared into the mirror again, the ghost of the boy he used to be staring back. But now, behind the eyes, something stirred. Not hope. Not yet. But something close, like a match being struck in the dark. Is it true? The question came out of nowhere, slicing through the dim hum of the arena like a razor. The stadium seats were empty, but the stage felt more crowded than ever, lined with ghosts of rehearsals past, unspoken words, and the pounding bass of a sound check no one was focused on anymore. Jimin turned his head slowly, sweat still beading down the side of his face from the last run-through. Jungkook was standing a few feet away, arms crossed, jaw clenched. His in-ear monitors dangled loosely from his neck. Forgotten, is what true? Jimin asked, though he already knew that you asked to go solo. Silence. A throb of reverb echoed from the sound desk, a technician muttering something over the comms. But the real noise was the silence that stretched between them like a fuse. Jimin looked away. It was just a conversation. You told the label you were done with group promotions after the world tour. I said I needed time. That's not the same thing. Jungkook stepped closer, voice rising. teetering between disbelief and betrayal. You said you'd talk to me. That we'd make decisions like this together. Was that a lie too? Jimin's breath hitched. Don't do that. Do what? Make this about you when it's about me trying not to drown. I've been trying to keep you afloat, Jimin. Jungkook's shout echoed across the empty rows of red seats. A few staff members on the sidelines looked up, startled. No one intervened. Jimin looked at him, really looked, and for a second, he didn't see the golden boy of the group, the main vocal, the youngest with the wide smile and boundless energy. He saw the man beneath the mask. Tired. Furious. Cracked. That's the problem, Jimin said quietly. You think you can save me? Like I'm some project you picked up between comeback schedules. Jungkook stepped back like he'd been slapped. Is that really how you see me? Jimin wiped sweat off his forehead with a trembling hand. I don't know how I see you anymore. The words stung, more than either of them expected. You kissed me, Jungkook said, voice lowered now, trembling with restraint. Don't pretend that didn't mean something. Jimin's face froze. It did mean something, he admitted after a long pause. It meant I was weak. I was desperate. And you were, there. Jungkook laughed, bitter. So I'm just the nearest body now? You don't get it. This life, it's not romantic. It's survival. I've spent years forcing myself into shapes that please everyone else. The fans. The company. You. I can't even remember the last time I made a decision just for me. Then make one now, Jungkook said. Tell me. Right here. Right now. Do you want me or not? Jimin opened his mouth. Closed it. His heart screamed yes. His fear whispered no, I don't know, he said. I'm not sure I ever really did. Jungkook's chest rose and fell rapidly, like he was holding back the kind of scream that never makes a sound. And then a voice boomed through the stadium. 30 minutes to doors. The spell broke. Staff buzzed into motion. Choreographers gathered the dancers. Lights snapped on full brightness. The stage was no longer their battlefield. It belonged to the machine now. Jimin stepped off the main platform, grabbing a towel, ignoring the look Jungkook gave him. As he passed Yoongi in the hallway, the older member paused, reading Jimin's expression like a headline. You two finally explode? He asked, voice dry. Jimin didn't answer. He kept walking. Fast. Like the truth was chasing him and he didn't want to be caught. Backstage, he locked himself in one of the dressing rooms. Sat on the cold floor. Pressed his forehead to his knees. What did he want? He wanted to stop performing sadness for clout and happiness for approval. He wanted Jungkook. He wanted silence. He wanted out. He wanted in. His phone buzzed. A single message from an unknown number. We know what you're hiding. Leave the group quietly, or we go public. His blood ran cold outside. The crowd screamed as the opening VCR started to roll. The stage was calling, but Jimin was no longer sure he wanted to answer. The roar of the crowd was deafening. Their screams curled through the concrete veins of the stadium, pulsing like blood, feeding the beast of spectacle. But inside the black room, an unmarked, windowless utility chamber behind the main stage, Jimin was suffocating. His back pressed against the cold wall, fingers trembling as he stared down at the message again. We know what you're hiding. Leave the group quietly, or we go public. A knock. He jerked, hiding the phone in his hoodie pocket as the door opened without permission. It was Namjoon. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him, his expression unreadable. You missed the cue, he said, voice calm, too calm. I needed a minute, Jimin murmured. Namjoon didn't move. You've had 30. You okay? Jimin looked up at him. Are you asking as a leader, or as a friend? Namjoon's face flickered, something tightening at the corners of his mouth. At this point, I don't think there's a difference anymore. Jimin exhaled, slow and heavy. If I told you I wanted to quit, would you try to stop me? No, the answer came quicker than expected. But I'd ask you why you waited until now to say it. Jimin's lips parted, but the words got stuck in his throat. Namjoon crossed the room, crouched beside him. Look, I'm not blind. None of us are. You've been unraveling for months, but you kept pretending. And we let you pretend because we didn't want to push. That's on us. Jimin turned his head, eyes burning. They're threatening me, Hyung. Namjoon's brows pulled tight. Who? I don't know. An anonymous number. They sent a message tonight. Said they'd expose me if I didn't quit. Namjoon's face darkened. Expose what? Jimin hesitated, then he pulled out his phone, unlocked it, and handed it over. Namjoon read it in silence. When he looked back up, his voice dropped. Is it about you and Jungkook? Jimin didn't flinch. It has to be. Namjoon stood, pacing now. How long? A while. And it's real. Jimin stood too, defensive. You think I'd risk all this for a fling? I think you're scared shitless, Namjoon snapped. And I think you should be. If this leaks, we lose everything. Sponsorships. Contracts. Tours. You don't get to be selfish, Jimin, not when we've bled for this group. Selfish. Jimin's voice cracked like ice under pressure. You think this is about me wanting attention? I've been swallowing myself for years so the group could shine. So fans could have their perfect fairy tale. But I'm tired of being someone I'm not. I'm tired of hiding love like it's shameful. Namjoon stared at him, chest heaving, then he tossed the phone back. Keep your voice down, he muttered. And don't do anything stupid before the encore. With that, he left. Jimin stood alone, the silence loud again. He stepped out 5 minutes later, walked past makeup artists and stylists trying to adjust his face, his jacket, his image. None of them saw the panic under his skin. Jungkook was waiting at the stage entrance. His eyes found Jimin's instantly, searching for something. They didn't speak, they just walked out onto the platform, swallowed by the light and the screams. The encore began. As they sang, danced, smiled, Jimin caught Jungkook's hand for a fraction too long during the fan choreography. The crowd went feral, thinking it was fan service, but Jungkook squeezed back. It was real. Later that night, after the fans had gone home, after the staff had packed up and the arena had emptied into silence, Jimin sat in the backseat of the van beside Jungkook. Neither of them spoke. The other members had taken separate vehicles. Jungkook finally broke the quiet. Something happened. Jimin nodded. Tell me. Jimin handed over his phone again. Jungkook read the message, slow and careful, his jaw clenched. We need to find out who sent this. We can't, Jimin said. If we start digging, someone will notice. And if we draw attention, they win. Jimin turned toward him. If this comes out, you could lose everything too. Are you ready for that? Jungkook looked at him with fire in his eyes. I'd rather lose everything than lose you in pieces. The van swerved slightly as the driver hit a pothole, but neither of them noticed. Jimin reached out, placing his hand on Jungkook's chest, feeling his heartbeat under the layers. I don't want to be a scandal, he whispered. Jungkook leaned in, pressing his forehead to Jimin's. You're not. You're the only truth I've ever known. Their lips met, soft, urgent, silent, but across the street, in the shadowed alley beside the venue, a camera lens glinted in the dark. And someone smiled as they lowered their phone. The morning shattered like glass. Jimin woke up to the sound of his name trending, #Jimin scandal. His phone buzzed violently on the nightstand, screen lighting up with endless notifications. Calls. Messages. Mentions. The group chat was a storm of disbelief and panic. The silence before this had been heavy, but this was a thunderclap. He didn't need to open anything. He already knew what had happened. The picture, someone had released it, blurry but unmistakable, Jungkook and Jimin, inside the van, kissing. Foreheads pressed like lovers in a film. Their shadows illuminated by the faint interior light, their bodies unmistakably close. The internet didn't need context. It never did. It only needed blood. He stared at the screen, numb. His chest didn't rise, didn't fall. For a moment, he wondered if he'd stopped breathing entirely. Then, the door burst open. Get dressed. Now. It was their manager, face pale, voice cold and surgical. Jimin didn't speak. He just moved, robotically pulling on a hoodie, sliding into shoes. Every click of his phone felt like a bullet. There was no room for explanation. No space for defense. They were already guilty downstairs. The van was waiting, windows blacked out. Inside, Jungkook sat in the corner seat, cap pulled low, hoodie zipped to his chin. His knee bounced relentlessly. When he looked up and saw Jimin, something in his face fractured. Jimin climbed in silently. Their manager sat up front, phone pressed to his ear. Yes, we're on our way. No, they haven't spoken to press. Yes, we're containing it. I said we're containing it, didn't I? No one spoke during the ride. The agency's underground parking was already flooded with security. Jimin wasn't sure if they were protecting them from the media or from themselves. Inside the conference room, the air was a weapon. The agency's CEO stood by the glass wall, arms crossed, flanked by legal advisors and senior staff. Namjoon, Yoongi, Jin, Taehyung, and Hoseok were already seated. Their expressions ranged from blank to visibly betrayed. Jimin's throat tightened as he took his seat. Jungkook sat beside him. The CEO didn't waste time. Do you know what you've done? Silence. Do you understand the implications of this? You're not just idols. You're a brand. A global symbol. You represent contracts, sponsors, shareholders. Do you know how many millions are riding on your image alone? Jimin swallowed. It wasn't meant to be public, the CEO cut him off. Well, it is. So now we deal with it. Jungkook raised his head. You want us to lie. Not want. Need. There was a pause so loud it pressed into Jimin's ears. Deny it, the CEO continued. Say it was edited. Say it was fanfiction. Say it was anything but real. We'll push out a narrative and drown this thing. Do you understand me? Jungkook stared at him like he'd just been punched in the face. So you want us to erase ourselves? I want you to survive, the CEO snapped. You think this is about love? This is about billions. You want to be martyrs? Fine. But don't drag this group down with you. Jin slammed a hand on the table. That's enough. Everyone turned. They're not criminals, Jin said. You're talking like they committed a goddamn felony. They're human. They love each other. Big fucking deal. Namjoon finally spoke. We need to talk about options that don't involve destroying them. There are no options, the CEO barked. Only outcomes. And right now, we need to salvage whatever's left. Yoongi looked at Jimin. His eyes were unreadable. What do you want to do? All eyes shifted. Jimin felt the weight of the world crawl onto his chest. His voice was hoarse when it came. I won't deny it. The room froze. I won't pretend, he said again. Not anymore. The CEO laughed bitterly. Then get ready to say goodbye to your career. Jungkook stood. Then I go with him. No, Jimin said quickly, grabbing his arm. Don't. I'm not letting them erase you, Jungkook said, eyes locked on his. Not while I'm still breathing. The room erupted, shouts, arguments, chairs scraping, but Jimin heard none of it. He was staring at Jungkook, and for the first time since the leak, he smiled. A sad, broken thing, but it was real. By that night, the statement was drafted. Not a denial. Not a confession either. Just acknowledgement. Human. Honest. They released it together, side by side. The backlash was immediate. Hate, support, boycotts, tears. The internet burned, but somewhere between the chaos, a fan account posted a thread. Videos. Moments. Hidden glances from old interviews. Fingers brushing behind backs. Long stares that lingered longer than they should have. Maybe we always knew, the caption read. Maybe love was the story all along. Jimin read it in the dark of his room, and for once, he didn't feel like a secret. He felt like a beginning. You're trending again, Taehyung said, leaning against the doorframe of Jimin's apartment, phone in hand, face pale despite the forced grin. Global #1. Again. Jimin didn't respond. He sat cross-legged on the floor, hoodie up, coffee cold in his hand. He hadn't slept. Not since the post went live. Not since they hit send and shattered the wall between fiction and truth. Taehyung stepped in. The door clicked shut behind him. Your mom called me. She's worried. She's seeing things online. Death threats. Petitions to remove you. Calls for Jungkook to apologize for being led astray. People are crazy. Jimin's voice was hollow. She told me not to come home. The silence stretched like a wound. Taehyung exhaled and sat beside him. We were always going to hit the wall. It just came faster than we thought. I didn't think it would feel like this, Jimin murmured. Like what? Like morning. The word hung in the air like smoke. Jimin set his mug down, hands trembling faintly. I lost something. Not just fans. Not just endorsements. Something, in me. You didn't lose anything worth keeping if it demanded you live in chains. Jimin looked at him, and for once, didn't try to smile. Does Jungkook regret it? He asked. Taehyung hesitated. He's been locked in the dance studio for 16 hours. No food. Just music and rage. Jimin stood suddenly. I need to see him. But Taehyung caught his wrist. He doesn't want you to. Jimin froze. What? He told me. He said, he needs space. That he needs to remember who he is without you. That everything's too loud and too fast and he's not thinking clearly. Jimin's world tilted. He's pulling away. He's scared, Taehyung said gently. You both are. The knock on the door came fast and loud. Jimin turned, startled. It wasn't a delivery. It wasn't management. It was press pounding. Voices outside. Jimin. Do you have a statement about the contract suspension rumors? Are you and Jungkook still romantically involved? Did the company ask you to separate? Is it true your endorsement deals are being terminated? Panic surged through his body. He backed away from the door. Taehyung moved to the window. There's a van out front. Paparazzi. Goddamn vultures. Jimin's phone buzzed violently. A message from the company. Subject. Official disciplinary action pending review due to the unauthorized release of personal material that has resulted in public and commercial damage to the brand. Park Jimin and Jeon are hereby placed on temporary suspension from all group activities pending further internal investigation. His vision blurred. His ears rang. It was happening. They were erasing him. Slowly. Officially, I need to go, Jimin said. Taehyung blocked him. Go where? To the studio. To him. Taehyung hesitated, then nodded. Wear a mask. And keep your head down. Jimin fled the apartment, hoodie pulled low, sunglasses on, heart pounding with every step toward the exit. Photographers screamed his name from across the street. Cameras flashed like lightning. He ran anyway. By the time he reached the building, he was soaked in sweat and fear. The studio door was closed. Lights off. But he knew Jungkook was inside. He always danced in the dark. Jimin knocked. Once. Twice. No answer. He opened it anyway. Inside, the only light came from the faint blue hue of the speaker system. Music wasn't playing. Jungkook was on the floor, back to the mirror, breathing heavily, eyes rimmed with red. You're not supposed to be here, he said. Neither are you, Jimin replied. I told Tae I needed time. And I'm telling you I don't have any left. Jungkook stood, slow and tense. They suspended us. I know. Jungkook's voice broke. We lost everything, Hyung. For what? For one kiss. For a truth no one asked for. Jimin stepped forward. For love. Jungkook shook his head. Love doesn't destroy careers. Love doesn't drag your brothers down into hell with you. Then it wasn't love you gave me, Jimin said, and the air cracked like thunder. Jungkook's eyes widened. Don't. You're the one running now. I'm trying to protect us. No, Jimin said, louder now. You're trying to protect your image of us. And that's not the same thing. Jungkook moved forward suddenly, grabbing Jimin's face in his hands, desperate, trembling. I don't know how to love you and survive this world at the same time. Then let's stop surviving, Jimin whispered, and start living. Their lips met again, not in secret, not in fear, but in defiance. It wasn't soft. It was furious, raw. It was two people clawing through the ash of what remained, trying to find fire again. When they pulled apart, both of them breathless, Jimin said, we can disappear. Just for a while. And go where? Jungkook asked, eyes full of shattered stars. Anywhere the stage can't follow. Outside the room, the hallway echoed with hurried steps. The door burst open. Their manager. There's been a breach, he said. Someone hacked the company server. More pictures. Messages. Your texts. They're all over the internet. Jungkook went still. Jimin turned away from the mirror, heart pounding. What texts? He asked, but he already knew every secret, every confession. Every moment they thought was theirs gone, ripped into the open like meat. Their love story was no longer theirs. It belonged to the world now. The world did not end. It only changed. The news cycled faster than truth could catch it. Screens flooded with outrage, think pieces, conspiracies, shipper wars, and sobbing livestreams. Text messages between Jungkook and Jimin, private, trembling, sacred, were now content. Screen capped. Paused. Judged. Devoured, don't let go, no matter what happens. You're the only thing that feels real in all this noise. If we're a sin, I'll burn gladly. They trended, they were mocked, they were loved, they were hated, but they were seen, and that visibility had its own kind of violence. Jimin sat in the company's sterile conference room, one last time. No cameras. No lawyers. No media. Just the 7 of them, and the truth that could no longer be undone. I'm leaving, he said. The word dropped like a guillotine. Taehyung stared down at his hands. Hoseok blinked slowly, already holding back tears. Yoongi didn't speak. Jin was the first to nod, as if he'd known long before the rest. Namjoon leaned forward, folding his hands. Are you sure? I'm tired of performing peace in a war zone, Jimin said. I'm tired of bleeding for people who only love the mask. Silence, then a soft voice, from the end of the table. I'm going with him. Jungkook's words weren't defiant. They were steady. Calm, predictable. The room shifted. A crack in the foundation. No one tried to stop them. Not this time. They said their goodbyes in fragments. Yoongi offered a quiet, don't disappear completely. Taehyung pulled Jimin into a hug that lingered too long. Hoseok placed a bracelet in Jungkook's palm. For protection. Or memory. Jin kissed their foreheads and said, I'm proud of you, even if it kills me. Namjoon simply said, write your own ending. Or at least, write a good intermission. The company released a vague statement 2 days later, citing health and creative differences. The media read between the lines. The fans did not. Some abandoned them, some built shrines, others fought wars online in their name, but the noise eventually softened, like all storms do. And then, one day, it was just quiet. 6 months later, in a sleepy coastal town on Jeju Island, a small cafe opened near the cliffside. It had no name and no social media and no press, but inside, you could often find 2 young men behind the counter, bickering over coffee beans, laughing over spilled milk, and occasionally dancing together in the dim glow of the evening sun that filtered through the open windows. One of them still sang while sweeping the floor. The other still wrote lyrics in the corner. Booth, eyes full of quiet, fired staged cameras, just them, and if a customer happened to recognize them, they never said a word, because here, behind this final curtain, they were no longer idols, they were no longer sinners or saints, they were no longer legends, they were just Jimin and Jungkook. Lovers free, and for the first time in years, that was more than enough.